Hello, guys and gals. My name's DeathRaye. Welcome. We're going to be looking in at a game called Celestial Command. I picked this up not too long ago. That's a couple months ago, and it, I've had some fun with it. Um, a lot of changes have actually been made since I picked up the game. They're a little slow on the updates, but from my understanding, we're only talking maybe a two, three, or four man team that's working on this game, and I can't imagine they're not working on other things as well, like any other software company. But they they're really focused. They've got a Discord channel, and the devs are actually even involved in that. I mean, really involved. I've actually had a couple of discussions with them, posted some bugs and stuff when I first started playing it. So they seem to be focused on the game pretty much. It's just um, them getting out the updates uh, from what we're used to with bigger companies. So that that being said, it's not a downside. It's not a bad thing. Like right now, they have been working on the multiplayer, or they are currently working on the multiplayer aspect of the game, trying to bring it back up to the level that they've got the single player game part. Um, so that, in my eyes, that's something I've actually been looking forward to. None of my friends or my group are currently actively playing this game other than me, um, just because I picked it up out of a whim. Looked at it, said, this should be interesting. Let's give it a shot. It is a survival style game based out of space, and it's based on a 2D format. So the game platform is basically like a game board. So there's no 3D elements to it. Um, the single player is what I've been playing. I haven't tried the multiplayer, which was probably a good thing since it wasn't really functioning correctly in the first place, from what I understand. And of course, I didn't really know that until this recent post that they posted about working on it. But with the game mechanics, there are two style of game mechanics. You got orbital mechanics, which is more real physics style, and then you've got aerodynamic space. Now, they both actually are totally different gameplays in themselves. Um, when I first started, I was playing orbital mechanics and was enjoying it. Um, very, very difficult gameplay though, but still fun. So recently I've been trying the aerodynamics, and that's what actually I'm going to start um, with this series, and that's going to be to show you the aerodynamics. Now, all cards on the table, let me let you know what's going to happen. This is going to be a throughput playtime. I'm not going to break it up like some other streamers do, or because I basically want to let you see everything: downtime, grind time, build time. I want you to get a full feel of the game instead of just bits and pieces where I'm going to be talking and letting you see stuff and then cutting it and coming back to show you something new, because I want you to see the whole thing. Um, Now, maybe a couple episodes into it, I'll start breaking it down a little bit more, since you'll have more of a feel of what's going on. Um, but there again, there's small nuances that are in the game that are really interesting that you might pick up on if you just watch it all the way through instead of me cutting things out. Um, yeah, right off the top of my head, one of the things I'm thinking about would be the fact that the center mass of a ship has a lot of bearing on how the ship reacts in flight. Um, if if the center mass is off to the left or the right, the ship will actually start turning and won't fly straight. Um, so It's really interesting gameplay. It's really something you have to focus on, plan out a little bit sometimes, because even that center mass is based off of cargo. For instance, when you're mining an asteroid, um, the cargo will fill up depending on how you've got your cargo pod set up, and it will adjust or shift the center of mass. So it's something you don't have to. I mean, you can play, you can fly and adjust your ship as you go, but it's a nuance. It's something that you have in the game that makes it very interesting. So, but I digress and I move on. So, we're going to be playing. This is going to be the um, let's see, we'll say aerodynamic stream play. Well, yeah, that's what we'll call it. Sure. All right. So the advanced settings, real simple. I like the 100% black. Um, well, 90% is not too bad. The really light, I'm not a really big fan of. Um, the amount of stations, the amount of asteroids can be adjusted. I'm going to adjust asteroids down to 1,000. Multipliers, I'm not really totally sure exactly how they affect the game yet. I haven't delved into that quite yet. Um, but I mean, general thought, I mean, you can pretty much say if you adjust any of things, it's going to, um, like full fuel consumption, you can adjust it either up or down as far as better or worse fuel consumption. Engine thrust, same. You can adjust it up or down to make the engines either more effective or less effective. But as to exactly how they make those, what the exact determination is, I haven't played with them, so I'm not really going to mess with that. But there they are. They can be messed with. All right. So got that. We got that. So let's start this baby going. Now, this is going to be your gameplay for the aerodynamics. Um, it is different from the orbital, completely different, but it almost has to be for the type of gameplay. So, um, you're going to start out with a small mining ship, okay, and it's going to start you out in this green area. Okay, this is your sector. This is where you start out. Station that's in here is your ally. This is where you will sell, build, whatever it is that needs to be done will all be done here at this station. Now, I like how that's right off the bat. Got two asteroids right next to the station that need to be focused on. Okay, so each asteroid is made up of different materials, although this one seems to be made up of nothing but ice all the way around. Now, um, the asteroids are set up in like a pie. Okay, as I go around the outside edge, you see the numbers change. So that's basically how you're going to mine the asteroid. Is you're going to go around it and basically suck out everything from that pie. For instance, you've got nickel, nickel. Oh, uranium. Nice. It's the first time I've gotten an asteroid in any gameplay that I've actually found uranium. Now these bigger ones are nothing. They're just gameplay. I don't know. Um, they're just for visuals. You know, it would be nice if they were actually findable, but they're not. Um, so they're just yeah. Yeah, the only thing you're actually wanting to play with or wanting to deal with is going to be the ones with the dots in them right there. Um, yeah, those are the only things that are actually going to get you anything. So with that being said, Let's check out the station. All right, so they are looking for ice, so that's good. So that's the first asteroid I'm going to go for. Um, looking for food, which is a later gameplay mechanic. Um, ammo, they're looking for nickel. Okay, well, that one asteroid over there's got nickel. But as you can see, there's no uranium. So this station is not going to be looking for uranium. So there's no sense in actually mining the uranium out of that asteroid at this point in time. See, they don't need cobalt. They definitely need iron, and they definitely need titanium. Um, silver we probably could sell for a little bit. We're only looking at a 2% variation. Silicon, if you can't find anything, then that I guess it's worth mining. Uh, you know, nothing, something is better than nothing kind of routine. Aluminum, same thing. Carbon, um, xenon, exxon, or enon, or whatever you want to say. That looks like it's going to be useful. Now the only thing is that is a gas, and you have to get that from actual planets. So again, that's kind of a later gameplay. Hydrogen and oxygen, looks like they're not looking for those at all, so that's something we'll be purchasing from them most 90% of the time. Now, as I've been talking, these guys, okay, get back to the ship. Okay, um, these guys have been eating food, so I've got 4.2, so I need to start actually focusing on. Alright. Oh, okay. There we go. That's what I'm more used to. That locking angle view kind of screwed me up. Alright, so you finally get to a point where you get and you turn on the laser. And as you can see, the laser kicks on, the number on the asteroid itself starts going down, and the number inside your ship starts going up for cargo. Now, since this is a beginning ship, it's going to have the most basic cargo, so you're not going to get a whole lot on this ship. Get maybe a third of the ice off this ship, off this asteroid. Now you do want to watch the numbers, and the reason for that is if this number goes down to zero and you let it continue to mine, eventually the asteroid will break up, even if you haven't gotten the rest of the minerals off of it. And that again, once the asteroid breaks up, then it's not viable anymore. You're not going to be able to mine the rest of it. So definitely have to watch. Once it gets down to zero, then stop the mining laser and go to the next section. Now where's the sun? Let's see, there's the sun. Okay. That is something we're going to need to know. Because at some point in time, you're going to have to recharge the battery, and there went the battery. Alright, which is that thing right there, which is totally out of juice. Now, don't think I'm going to be able to get any it here. Let's open the. Yep, it's blocked by the asteroid, so I have to just. So I'm in direct sunlight for the most part. Asteroid is not blocking the sun. I get a constant, a positive energy flow, so I'm recharging at the same time that I'm using the laser. And the laser uses about 160 um, per second, so alright, let's do some maneuvering real quick. Let's put the over here, put the food into the smaller container, then restart up. That way I can get a little more ice out of this asteroid back to the station. These containers right here only hold 20, where these actually hold 80. Now, as you can see, I moved the ship a little bit so it became slightly blocked. So the angle on the sun is not direct like it was earlier. So I'm actually producing less power from the solar panels. So that's why this number is a little bit lower. But I'm still getting enough to outpower the laser. So I still have a positive flow. Now, once the cargo fills all the way up and there's no more space for anything else, the laser will actually turn itself off automatically, which is kind of nice. And as you can see, it's almost up to 80. And boom, the laser kicks off. Close those up because they're fragile. Let's see, we're docking right there. Turn on the docking. Voila. And we are docked. Okay, with that being done, now you have full access to what's going on in the station. Okay, you've got all the trade, which we just did a whole bunch of ice, so we're going to sell the ice, and we're going to sell it all. And we're going to get 7,379 credits, which is actually a real decent haul. Okay, other things you can do is you've got the shipyard, so you can buy new parts, add it to the ship. You can also sell parts off your ship with sell module. Now be careful with this because I've actually had it to where I've actually clicked on something by accident after I sold a part and didn't realize it. So once you've sold the part, go somewhere blank and right click on the mouse, and that will alleviate the sell part. So you won't be able to sell items that you didn't really want to sell. You can repair your ship should it be damaged. So, like if I came in a little too hard and I damaged the coupler, I can go in here and I can click on it and damage it at a cost, or repair it at a cost. Um, Missions, you can pick up missions. For instance, this one is go out and pick up a piece of equipment and bring it back. You get reputation, and that allows you to buy stuff. Like, for instance, this one's locked because you have to have a required reputation of 350, and we currently only have 168 reputation with them. So um, it allows you to unlock other things as you get better reputation with them. You also have destroy enemy. Since we don't have any guns on this thing, that is definitely not one we want to get right now because we have no way of destroying them. So, um, when picking up the mission, something you want to think about is as you get out there, sometimes you run into enemies as you go, so you kind of want to be a little cautious at picking up the mission straight off the bat. Um, they give you decent money and decent reputation pretty fast at the beginning, but like I said, say if I clicked on this, what would happen is on the map it would show you where the item is located. It could be in your section, but it also could be in one of the other sections around you. So as you get closer to these borders, you have more of a chance of finding an enemy from one of these that are just sitting on the border. And again, since I don't have weapons at the time, that makes me extremely vulnerable to them because I guarantee those little ships will have weapons. So it's something you want to think about ahead early game as to whether you want to get into that right off the bat or not. Like I said, this is a mining ship, so therefore, it's pretty much designed for mining. Now, I need to buy some food. I know that already. I'm not buying that much. That's ridiculous. So I'm gonna buy about 10. Okay, what that will do will bring up my food. I'll bring it right to the top. I like putting it in one of the smaller containers as close to front as possible. Okay, now we'll also top off our hydrogen. Each tank holds 60, and this group supplies this tank, and this group is supplied off of this tank. So now something I like to do later is create a ship that has a larger central tank that they all pull off of. It's a whole lot easier because if this tank goes empty and this one still has something in it, then the only thrusters that are working are going to be the ones that are fed off of this tank. So that kind of becomes a problem later in the game. Now to undock, we just turn that off and away we go. All right, we'll go back to the ice. That one. Excuse me. I think I'm getting a wee bit of a fall cold. Or not a fall cold. Yeah, fall. Yeah. Changing the temperature out here is giving me havoc. Let alone I have allergies, so that doesn't help on top of that. Now, since there's no obstruction over here, okay, we're going to hit P and change the direction of the solar panels, and we're now at a positive 85. Again, it's not direct, it's indirect, so if you click on that, it'll show you you're only 76% direct. Current production is only 123 instead of 160 because your max production is 160. This one, yeah, same thing. So even though it is kind of blocked, but hey, game's not perfect. Not perfect. But what game really is? You know what I'm saying? Alright, so some of the things that we've got here on the outside, let's go through the icons real quick. This is going to be your crew. You got two in this style of cockpit. You got connectors that shows you how everything is connected. So the solar power is connected to the battery is connected to the laser, and you can see the direction of travel. Hydrogen, again, you can see, click that. Okay, so you can see it's going from the tank to the hydrogen. Um, your mounting points, these are all points that something can be mounted to. Um, for instance, the battery has an open mounting point right here. Um, the laser has an open mounting point here. Uh, these are in the way, but there's an open mounting point on the three of them on the command center, so this is the only spot you'd be able to mount something to, and then on the back you've got two mounting points here. Of course, you've got two here, but this is blocked. It's blocked through here. So those are your mounting points. Its center of mass shows you where that is. Right now, this is your center of mass right here because the laser is actually pretty freaking heavy. It's the reason why we can't fly straight. You've got compensate rotation, which kind of allows the game to try to automatically compensate for your rotation. In orbital mechanics, that it's a lot more um, usable. In this, it's not. The reason for it is in the aerodynamic version, the ship will slow down once you stop thrusting. It'll automatically slow down. In the orbital, it will keep spinning until you tell it to stop spinning, and that's what compensate rotation would be good for. Control by cursor, what this does is as long as you're clicked on the command center and you click on this and activate it, you can actually click out here into space and it will fly to that location. It's not perfect, especially if your ship is off center. You'll see how the rotation and it's actually quite funny, but it is a kind of an assist to allow you to get to a point you're looking at, and without you actually have to manually focusing on it. Over on this side, you've got lock angle view. You saw what that did earlier. Um, if I click on that, it locks into a camera view, and as the ship's moving, um, my view moves with the ship instead of like this, to where if the ship moves, my camera stays in one spot, the ship moves. Focus, okay, obviously, guess what focus is. You can click on something, hit focus, and it sends you to it. Um, Reset pan resets you to a basic pan. Um, Show velocity, that shows you direction of travel. Velocity is to, if you hit thrust, where the ship will be going. Grid, ooh, stop, and start back up. Okay, show grid shows you the actual grid on the map. Small sectors. Um, Accepted missions just gives you a list of the missions you've accepted, and then list of ships. Um, you can actually have more than one ship, so this will end up giving you the list of all your ships that you have. Since we only have one, there's only one listed. Awfully convenient that this ice boulder was right next to the station. Now, something added here recently was the ability to produce um, extra stuff, make being able to allow you to be more sufficient. For instance, um, 2 months ago you couldn't make your own ammo. Now they have ammo production, so you can actually make your own ammo and then in turn sell that ammo back to stations as well as a way of making money. Um, Food, you can actually, and again, this is later game because the amount of power it takes to run a food production is extremely large. So you kind of have to build a facility for it. Excuse me. So Excuse me again. So that's kind of later game, but ultimately it can be done where you produce food and then you eat, of course, your own food, but you also sell back all the extra that you make. So it's a way of producing money as well. Oxygen and hydrogen production, and you actually use ice for that. So all this ice that I'm mining, if I had a production, instead of selling the ice back to the station, I would sell the oxygen or the hydrogen back to the station, or for that matter, um, utilize it if I needed to, because both oxygen and hydrogen can be used for fuel. There is a hydrogen oxygen fuel engine that uses both of them to produce a more um, powerful thrust. So the oxygen is used as an oxidizer for the hydrogen. So it just gives it a little more power. Set up docking. Turn that bad boy on. And kiss. Boom. Okay. So back into trade. Sell all we've got. Now, of course, this time we're making a little less money. And the reason for that is when we sold our last batch, the percentage changed because they weren't as much of a demand for it as they were before. So that price has gone down a little bit because the percentage goes down. Now, to sell that, there is a timer. There it is, right there. Prices will be updated in 16 seconds. So once that timer goes up, you will see this go down a little bit. Then we'll go ahead and wait that 5 seconds. Voila. Oh, wow. Didn't go down just a little bit. That went down a lot. Wow. Okay. That kind of sucks. Okay, so, yeah. Nickel. 119% for the nickel. Okay. Yeah, let's see, I've got 1,300. Okay. Let's do this. So, shipyard. Let's see. Oh, I want to do this. What I'm thinking, nickel, there's going to be a lot of nickel on this asteroid. Um, I do mean a lot. So since it's 19%, since the ice took such a nosedive, what I'm thinking about doing is building off of this a couple of storage containers to where I come and drop the nickel off, get all the nickel in the storage, and then come back after that and then sell all the nickel at once, giving me that larger percentage, giving me that larger amount of money. Um, Now the way to do that, unfortunately, is gonna have to see. All right, good. Set it off the rear instead of the front. All right, so that means I'm gonna need some storage. Okay. Now, ultimately, that's the one I want. And the reason for it, it actually holds 400 capacity. Unfortunately, I'm still locked out of that. I can't buy that. That one has 120, but that's just basically putting two of these together. If I were going to do that, I might as well just buy these, because actually I would get 160 out of this one instead of 120. Connect it back to the station. And considered another ship. It's a command module. Right next to the connector. Now that there's a command module in there, I can actually set that. This is the fun part. There we go. That could have been bad. With it being as long as it is and slight angle I was coming in off of that, when it whipped, locked into place and whipped the ship, I could have actually damaged both if one or if not both of these connectors right here. Um, so that could have been bad, but that's okay. It wasn't. Now, the nice thing about this is now that I've got a piece in between, I can actually disconnect from here. This stays connected, and I can go get some nickel. I'll show you what I was talking about. Where the ice come from? It wasn't there a few minutes ago. Alright. Again, hit P to change the direction. That helped a little. I'm only a negative 45. So the power consumption will go down a little bit. Alright, so there's some planets in here. Moons. And again, the planet is where you pick up on the gases. Xenon, Exion, or whatever it's called. That'll be the later game. I got some planets out here on the outside edges as well. Okay, so, and it's blocked. I have to go back out a little bit. There we go. Back a little. Alright, so I maneuvered it a little bit from over here to here. Went over a little bit and got blocked by the asteroid. So I've hit the nice little sweet spot just to get enough power to start recharging instead of just continually taking. And then once the laser quicks, it stops. We'll get 160 power back. We'll be able to recharge our batteries a little faster. Alright, so laser stopped. I'm full. I want to wait a little bit. Trying to start getting some power back. If I want, I can actually bring it out into the sun a little bit better. Get more power. Now, to transfer it over, just move it from block. Voila. And just store it. Still allowing us 19%. We'll be able to sell it all at once. So, back out to the nickel. let's rename the ship while we're sitting here. Let's. What the heck? Let's see. Mining ship. Orion. What the hell? First thing that came to mind. Yeah, well, with any game, of course, mining or farming becomes the most I don't want to say boring, because it's not boring. It's just, uneventful. Why does it seem to be mining less or taking long? Hmm. I guess nickel being a harder substance, they've got it set up in the game to where it doesn't mine as fast because of its hardness. Which makes sense. I mean, it's logical. Now, something we could do would be to move around a few things, move the battery and put another mining laser right here and place these two, so I'd have to sell that. But then I would have two mining lasers being able to mine twice as fast. But of course that takes twice the amount of energy as well, so. See, on the next trip in, I'm going to need to pick up some more food. Go ahead and top off with hydrogen as well. Although hydrogen's less, I'm less needy of the hydrogen. I mean, both tanks are both 60, and I haven't even gotten a full 10 points in. So I really don't need to top off on hydrogen. But I'm figuring at least one more trip out here. Where I sell off the nickel. Okay. That's about as good as it's going to get. Alright, well, at least it's not taking a full 160 out, so it'll be easier to replenish once the laser goes off. There we go. Alright, let's speed this up a little bit. So one of the nice things about a single player is you can actually speed up time. Just like in most games in single player, you can do up to eight times in this game. So speed through the mining process is a little bit faster. Which in this case, since we're so close to the station, it's safe to do that. You're not likely to run into an NPC floating around out here this close to the station right now. Up it down, back down to normal. Oh, let's kick it back up to 8. Oh, now it's zooming. Nice. Going that fast earlier. Alright, we almost got a full load out of that. Oh, okay. Back down to 1. Or I'd wreck myself. Da-ding! Alright, so trade. Nickel. Right, so Alright. Okay, so to flip back and forth between ships, you got two options. You've got the ability to click on one of the control pods and take control. It's like that. Or now that there are two ships, you've got one dock spaceship. You can take control from here as well. So let's rename this one as well. Let's see. Let's call it base dock gamma. Okay, so now we know what ship is what. Okay, now we've taken control of this one already. So now we can trade. All the nickel is on this ship. So there's 1,047.3 giving us 18,643.58 credits at 19%. Instead of having to sell it in just small chunks, we get the full blast of the 19% and we knock them way up here for, so now they're negative 33 in nickel. So we got the most bang out of the buck. And this, all this list right here that popped up is everything that we unlocked during that process, because when you sell stuff to the station, you gain the um yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? Reputation. Yeah, that's it. So now these major containers are actually unlocked. Get the large command modules now unlocked, um, with a bunch of, I mean, a lot of other stuff. So, for instance, small shields, tractor beam's not unlocked yet, but the cargo gate where you can actually pick up debris. But we won't get into that until we start damaging ships. And now that we've got a little bit of a reputation, we can now put on any of the weapons we want. And usually the best one is going to be this one here, the laser one. Has the most range, works straight off a battery. There's no ammo you have to purchase. So it's usually the best of the weapons to get. The only time that you're not going to outrange your enemy is if they are using the exact same weapon. And that's where the small shield generators come in very handy. Um, let's see. All the different thrusters, warp drive. So yes, you can actually warp from one spot to another. Let's see, production. Here we go. So here's your ammo factory. Okay. Um, just like any of the others, it consumes a very large amount of power. So it's very expensive to run. Um, the fuel generator is about the only one that doesn't require 2,000 plus power to run. Only runs off of 200. Um, the only downside to that is gain both oxygen and hydrogen. And unless you're using the let's see, where is it? This one, the ion. No, ion uses the exon. It's this one. Yes, this one uses both hydrogen and oxygen as fuel to create high thrust. Okay, so um, let's see. This is the chemical. This is the large version and the small version of that. This is what's currently on there now, and this is the larger version of that. Okay. Okay. So, trying to think. This actually might be a good point to break for the first episode. Um, for the second one, we can get out a little further because don't need ice, don't need nickel, and don't need uranium at this point in time. Um, and then we'll break out and do a little exploration, try to find a few more, see what else is out there. So, yeah, we'll break it here, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching, and as always, throw comments into the comment section should you have any questions or suggestions. If you've liked what I've done, the show that I put on for you, or the game itself, or want to see more, yeah, throw a like up there and then subscribe, and that way you can see some more of my content. I've been a little slow here lately on content. Had our RL real life stuff that has taken up a lot of my time here lately. Been trying to buy a house and ran into some roadblocks with that, so I'm still in the process of doing that. But hopefully, all in all, in the next couple of months, everything will smooth out and I'll be able to get back into the swing of things, or at least head into the direction I really wanted to go in the first place. Since yeah, I haven't really been doing the shows that I've been wanting to do, but that's okay. Hey, real life does happen, unfortunately. But like I said, if you've enjoyed it, please subscribe and hit that like button, and I will see you next time. Thanks again.